The galaxy mocked Earth for 1,000 years. Now they remember what woke us up. Part 1. The long silence. The year was 3247 by Earth's calendar. Nobody in the Galactic Confederation used that calendar anymore. Nobody cared about Earth at all. Earth had been a joke for 1,000 years. When humans first made contact with aliens in 2247, they arrived late to a party that had been going on for 50,000 years. The Confederation had over 900 different species. They had been traveling between stars since before humans learned to make fire. Humanity was the youngest species. They were the weakest. They were the most primitive. Ambassador Kevin Cole was the first human to stand before the Galactic Assembly. He was a tall man with kind eyes and a hopeful smile. He spoke about friendship. He talked about cooperation. He offered peace and partnership. The Assembly laughed at him. It was not a polite laugh. The representatives from the Velthari hegemony, the most powerful species in the galaxy, made sounds of deep amusement. The Kryn Collective joined them. The Dominion of Ashkar added their own mocking calls. 900 species, all laughing at the small human who thought he could be their equal. The reason was simple. Humans had no faster-than-light travel. They had no energy shields. They had no plasma weapons. They had crawled to the nearest star in ships that took 200 years to arrive. The Velthari could make the same trip in 4 hours. The Confederation gave humanity one small star system on the edge of the galaxy. They told them to stay there. They told them not to bother anyone. For 1,000 years, Earth did exactly that. But staying quiet did not mean staying still. High Counselor Vareth was the leader of the Velthari hegemony. Her species had ruled the galaxy for 12,000 years. They were the oldest civilization still alive. Their technology was so advanced that other species could not even understand how it worked. Vareth had led her people for 300 years. She had seen many things. She had never seen anything that surprised her. She stood in her private chambers on Nexus Prime, the capital world of the Confederation. The room was large and beautiful, filled with art from 100 different worlds. Vareth was reading reports from her intelligence officers. Most of the reports were boring. Trade agreements, political movements, small conflicts between minor species. Her aide, a young Velthari named Chorus, entered the room with another report. "High Counselor," he said, "the humans have requested another audience with the Assembly." Vareth did not look up from her reading. "Denied, as always, of course." Chorus paused. "Though I should mention something unusual. Our observers have noted that the humans have been very quiet lately. They have not sent a diplomatic request in almost 50 years. This made Vareth look up. In 1,000 years, humans had never gone more than 10 years without asking for something. They always wanted recognition. They always wanted respect. They always wanted technology that could make them equal to other species. What have they been doing? Vareth asked. We do not know. They sealed their borders 2 centuries ago. Our scanning probes cannot see inside their space. Vareth made a dismissive sound. Their primitive shields cannot possibly block our sensors. And yet they do, High Counselor. Vareth thought about this for a moment. Then she put the thought away. Whatever the humans were doing, it could not matter. They were insects. They were nothing. They had always been nothing, and they would always be nothing. She returned to her reports and forgot about Earth completely. On Earth, a very different kind of work was happening. Deep beneath the surface of the planet. In tunnels that stretched for thousands of miles, humans had built a new civilization. The cities above ground were simple and old-fashioned, designed to look exactly like what the Confederation expected. But underground, everything was different. Maria Santos walked through the main research complex in New Geneva, the largest underground city on Earth. She was 63 years old. but she moved like someone much younger. She had been working on the Martian project for 40 years. Today, that work was finally complete. "Run the final test," she said to her team. The machine in front of them was enormous. It filled a chamber the size of a small mountain. Energy flowed through it in patterns that would have confused any Valkyrie scientist. The mathematics behind it came from principles that the Confederation had never discovered. The machine activated. Space folded. A probe the size of a car vanished from the chamber and reappeared on the far side of the galaxy, 400,000 light-years away. It made the journey in less than 1 second. The team stared at their screens in silence. Then someone started to cheer. Then everyone was cheering. Maria Santos smiled, but she did not cheer. She was thinking about her grandmother, who had died 50 years ago during the Karath massacre. 3,000 humans, killed by the Valkyrie for the crime of existing too close to their shipping lanes. The Confederation had ruled the massacre justified. Earth had protested. The galaxy had laughed. That was the day humanity stopped asking for permission. That was the day they started building. Now, 50 years later, they were ready. Maria picked up a communication device and called the president of Earth. "Tell the council," she said. "The Morrison drive works. It is 100 times faster than Valkyrie technology. We can disable their ships from a distance. We can appear anywhere in the galaxy without warning." There was silence on the other end of the line. Then the president spoke. "Are you certain?" "I am certain. We have spent 1,000 years preparing for this moment. We have built ships. We have created weapons. We have developed technology that makes theirs look like children's toys." Maria paused. "We are ready to wake up." The president was quiet for a long time. When he spoke again, his voice was heavy with emotion. "My great-great-grandfather was on the first ship to meet the Confederation. He died believing that humanity would someday be accepted by the galaxy. He never knew about the underground cities. He never knew about our secret work. None of them knew," Maria said. "That was the point. We had to make the galaxy believe we were weak. We had to make them forget about us. We had to become invisible. And now?" Maria looked at the machine that had just changed everything. 1,000 years of work. 1,000 years of patience. 1,000 years of being laughed at and ignored and killed. "Now," she said, "we remind them that we exist." Somewhere in the galaxy, High Council of Earth was sleeping peacefully. She had no idea that the universe was about to change. She had no idea that the species she had dismissed as worthless insects had been watching, learning and growing in the darkness. The age of human silence was almost over. The age of human power was about to begin. The galaxy mocked Earth for 1,000 years. Now they remember what woke us up. Part 2. The awakening commander Lisa Grant stood on the bridge of the ESS Defiance. It was the first human warship to leave the Sol system in 50 years. Around her, the crew worked in complete silence. Every person on this ship had trained their entire life for this moment. Every person knew what was about to happen. The bridge was clean and simple. Human technology did not look impressive from the outside. The Valkyrie built their ships with golden decorations and beautiful curves. Human ships looked like gray boxes. But inside those gray boxes was power that no one in the galaxy could imagine. Lisa was 42 years old. She had brown hair cut short and eyes that had seen too much. Her father had died in the Karath massacre. Her mother had spent 20 years fighting for justice through diplomatic channels. Nothing worked. Nobody listened. Nobody cared. When Lisa was 18, she learned the truth about the underground cities. She learned about the secret technology. She learned that humanity had been pretending to be weak while building weapons in the darkness. She joined the military that same day. "Status report," she said to her crew. Lieutenant Commander Daniel Price checked his displays. He was a young man, only 30, but he was one of the best pilots in the fleet. All systems are working perfectly, Commander. The Martian drive is stable. We are ready to go on your order. Lisa looked at the main screen. It showed their destination, Korath Station. This was where the Velthari had killed 3,000 humans 50 years ago. This was where the galaxy had shown its true face. This was where humanity would show its own. Initiate the Martian drive, Lisa ordered. The ship hummed with energy. The sound was low and deep, like the heartbeat of a giant. Then reality bent around them. Space folded like paper. In less than 1 second, they crossed 400 light years. When the universe became normal again, Korath Station filled their screens. The station was enormous. It was a trading hub where millions of beings from dozens of species lived and worked. Defense platforms surrounded it, each one carrying enough weapons to destroy an old human ship in seconds. Velthari warships patrolled the area, ready to respond to any threat. None of them had detected the Defiance arriving. "Commander," said Lieutenant Amy Brooks from the communications station. She was small and quiet, but her voice was steady. "We are being hailed. They are very confused. They want to know how we got here without triggering their sensors." "Open a channel," Lisa said. Her face appeared on every screen in Korath Station. Millions of beings saw her at the same time. A human, here, in the heart of Confederation space. "This is Commander Lisa Grant of the United Earth Defense Force," she said. 50 years ago, your people murdered 3,000 human citizens at this location. The Galactic Confederation ruled that their deaths were legal. We are here to tell you that we disagree." The station commander was a Velthari named Korath. He was old and proud, with the arrogant face that all Velthari leaders seemed to share. He responded immediately. "You dare to threaten a Confederation installation? One human ship against our entire defense grid?" He laughed. "You will be destroyed before you can fire a single weapon." Lisa did not smile. She did not show any emotion at all. "We are not here to fire weapons. We are here to demonstrate something. Lieutenant Brooks, activate the Morrison field." The Defiance was not just a ship. It was a weapon of a kind the galaxy had never seen. The Morrison drive could do more than move the ship through space. It could expand outward. It could touch everything nearby. And when it touched technology based on quantum field manipulation, which was the foundation of all Confederation science, that technology stopped working. The field expanded. It reached the station. It reached the defense platforms. It reached the warships. Everything stopped. Power systems failed across the entire area. Weapons went dead. Shields collapsed. Life support switched to emergency backups. For 10,000 kilometers in every direction, nothing worked. Korath's face had gone pale. His screens were flickering. His weapons were useless. His mighty warships were floating dead in space. "Your technology is based on quantum field manipulation," Lisa explained. Her voice was calm and patient, like a teacher explaining something to a child. "You discovered it 50,000 years ago. You built everything on top of it. Your ships, your weapons, your shields, your communication systems. All of it uses the same basic principles." She paused to let him understand. "Our technology is different. We spent 1,000 years developing something new. Something your scientists have not discovered. Something they cannot detect or block or understand. We can turn off every piece of technology in this system without firing a single shot. We can do this to any system in the Confederation. We can do this to your homeworld." Korath was shaking now. "This is impossible. You are primitives. You cannot have this capability. For 1,000 years, you mocked us. You laughed at us. You killed our people and said we deserved it because we were weak. You gave us no choice but to become strong. Lisa leaned forward. We did not waste our 1,000 years begging for scraps. We spent them learning, growing, preparing. You forced us to evolve. Now, you will see what we have become. She ended the transmission with a gesture. Then she turned to her crew. Disengage the field. Set course for Nexus Prime. The Morrison field collapsed. Power returned to the station. Lights flickered back on. Weapons came online again. But nobody tried to fire at the Defiance. Everyone was too shocked to move. Daniel Price entered the new coordinates. Course laid in, Commander. We can be at Nexus Prime in 3 seconds. Lisa nodded. Take us there. It is time to deliver our message to the people in charge. The ship hummed again. Space folded again. The Defiance vanished from Kurth Station like it had never been there. Behind them, 2 million beings stared at empty space. They had just witnessed something impossible. A human ship had appeared without warning, disabled their most advanced technology, and disappeared again. All without firing a weapon. All without taking any damage. The news spread across the galaxy within hours. By the end of the day, every species in the Confederation knew what had happened. The humans were awake. The humans had power. The humans were no longer asking for anything. They were demanding. High Counselor Vareth received the report in her chambers. She read it 3 times. Then she read it again. The words did not change. The impossible did not become possible. But it had happened anyway. She remembered dismissing the humans as irrelevant. She remembered ignoring their sealed borders. She remembered laughing at their simple ships and primitive technology. She was not laughing anymore. Nobody in the galaxy was laughing anymore. The galaxy mocked Earth for 1,000 years. Now they remember. What Woke Us Up Part 3. The truth revealed. The Great Hall of the Galactic Assembly had not seen such chaos in 3,000 years. Representatives from 900 species were shouting at each other. They were screaming for explanations. They were demanding military action against Earth. They were panicking. High Counselor Vareth stood at the central podium, trying to make them calm down. Her voice was strong, but her hands were shaking. She had not slept in 3 days. The reports from across the galaxy were getting worse every hour. In the past week, human ships had appeared at 17 major installations. They had disabled defense systems everywhere. They had walked through the most advanced security measures like they did not exist. They had delivered their message and vanished before anyone could respond. The message was simple. Humanity wanted equality. Humanity wanted respect. Humanity wanted what had been denied to them for 1,000 years. And if they did not get it, there would be consequences. Silence. Vareth commanded. The hall slowly became quiet. Representatives stopped shouting and turned to look at her. We will address this situation with logic and reason. The humans have shown capabilities we did not expect. But they are still one species against 900. They cannot possibly win a war against the entire Confederation. Before she could continue, the lights in the hall flickered. Every screen, every holographic display, every communication device suddenly showed the same image. A human woman in a simple gray uniform, standing on the bridge of a ship. High Counselor Vareth, the woman said. I am Admiral Catherine Hayes, Commander of the United Earth Defense Force. I apologize for interrupting your meeting, but your communication systems were not accepting our requests for a conversation. We decided to make our own appointment. Vareth felt her heart freeze in her chest. The humans had penetrated the communication network of Nexus Prime. This network was protected by encryption methods that had been developed over 50,000 years. The greatest minds of the greatest species had created it, and the humans had walked through it like an open door. Vareth forced herself to speak calmly. You have committed acts of war against the Galactic Confederation. Whatever technology you have developed, you cannot win against our combined military forces. We have no interest in war, Admiral Hayes replied. Her voice was patient and reasonable. We are here to discuss terms. You are in no position to demand terms. Hayes smiled slightly. It was not a threatening smile. It was the smile of someone who knew something that everyone else did not. On the contrary, she said the display behind her changed. It showed a tactical map of the entire Velthari military. Every installation, every fleet, every secret base. Information that was supposed to be impossible for outsiders to know. These are the locations of every major Velthari military installation, Hayes explained. These are the command frequencies for your fleet. These are the access codes for your planetary defense grid. She paused to let the information sink in. We obtained all of this in the past 6 days. Not through spying or stealing. We simply asked our computers to figure it out. They did. The hall was absolutely silent. 900 representatives were staring at the screen in horror. The Velthari military was the most powerful force in the galaxy. Its secrets were guarded more carefully than anything else. And the humans had learned everything about it in less than a week. For 1,000 years, you treated us as primitives, Hayes continued. You assumed that because we did not have fast ships when we met you, we must be stupid. You never considered that we might simply be young, that we might learn faster than you expected, that we might surpass you. Vareth found her voice again. Impossible. We have 50,000 years of scientific advancement, and we had 1,000 years of motivation. Hayes' expression became more serious. Every insult you gave us, every time you dismissed us, every time you killed our people and called it justified. We remembered all of it. We used it as fuel. She stepped closer to the camera. Her face filled every screen in the hall. Your species reached the peak of its development 10,000 years ago. You stopped creating new things because you had no competition. You had no challenges. You had no reason to keep growing. But we had nothing except reasons. We had to grow or die. So we grew. What have you created? Vareth asked. The question came out as a whisper. We developed artificial intelligence that makes your best computers look like toys. We discovered energy sources that your scientists said could never exist. We built ships that travel through dimensions that your mathematics cannot describe. Hayes spread her hands. And we did it all in secret, in the one small system you gave us, because you never bothered to look. Vareth felt like the floor was falling away beneath her. Everything she believed about the universe was wrong. The species she had dismissed as worthless insects had become the most advanced civilization in the galaxy. And nobody had noticed until it was too late. What do you want? She asked. Recognition. A seat at this assembly with full voting rights. Trade agreements. Technology sharing, which we will return in equal measure. An official apology for every wrong committed against human citizens over the past 1,000 years. Money paid to the families of those killed at Karth Station and everywhere else. And if we refuse? Admiral Hayes was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was colder. We spent 1,000 years preparing for that possibility too. We built weapons that can break planets. We created viruses that can kill your computers. We designed machines that can turn your own technology against you. She paused. But I do not think you will refuse. Because unlike you, we are not interested in ruling others. We simply want what was denied to us. A place among the stars. The transmission ended. The screens went back to normal. The hall erupted into chaos again, but it was a different kind of chaos now. The The representatives were angry. Now they were afraid. High Counselor Vareth remained still. She was staring at the empty space where the human admiral's face had been. She was thinking about everything that had happened in the past week. She was thinking about everything that had happened in the past 1,000 years. She was beginning to understand just how badly the Confederation had underestimated humanity, and she was beginning to wonder if it was already too late to fix their mistake. The galaxy mocked Earth for 1,000 years. Now they remember what woke us up. Part 4. The Reckoning. The emergency meeting of the Confederation Security Council lasted for 72 hours without stopping. Every major species sent their best military leaders. Every strategy was discussed. Every option was considered. Every possible way to defeat the humans was examined. The conclusion was the same no matter how they looked at it. The Confederation could not win a war against Earth. The human ships were too fast. Their weapons were too powerful. Their technology was too different from everything the Confederation understood. The combined fleets of 900 species could not catch them, could not hurt them, could not even see them coming. Admiral Harrison Cole sat in a small room away from the main council chamber. He was 65 years old, with gray hair and eyes that looked tired but alert. Across from him sat High Counselor Vareth. They were meeting alone because neither side wanted the others to hear what they might say. Harrison spoke first. "I want you to understand something important. We did not develop our technology to destroy you. We developed it to survive." Vareth studied his face carefully. The Valkyrie were very good at reading other species. She could see that this human was telling the truth. But truth was complicated. "Your species has every reason to want revenge," she said. "We treated you badly for 1,000 years. We laughed at you. We killed your people. We called you insects and primitives and worse. Yes, you did all of those things." Harrison's voice was calm, but there was steel underneath it. And there are many voices on Earth calling for exactly that. Revenge, punishment, destruction. They remember every insult, every murder, every moment of disrespect. He leaned forward in his chair. "But we did not work so hard for so long just to become the same kind of monsters who hurt us. We did not suffer for 1,000 years just to make others suffer in return." Vareth was not sure she believed him. "Then, why did you disable our stations? Why did you show us your power in such aggressive ways?" "Because you would not have listened otherwise." Harrison smiled, but it was a sad smile. 1,000 years of peaceful diplomacy taught us that lesson. Ambassador Kevin Cole, the first human to speak before your assembly, was my ancestor. He believed in friendship. He believed in cooperation. He died still believing those things, even after your people laughed at him for 50 years. He stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the city of Nexus Prime spread out beneath them. Millions of beings going about their lives, unaware of how close they were to a war that could destroy everything. After Kevin Cole died, we sent more diplomats. They were ignored. We sent scientists to share knowledge. They were turned away. We sent merchants to establish trade. Nobody would deal with them. Harrison turned back to face Vareth. "We tried everything peaceful. Nothing worked. Your people only respond to power. So we built power. And now you use that power to threaten us. We use that power to make you listen. There's a difference." He sat down again. "We are here to negotiate, not to conquer. We want peace. We want to join the Confederation as equals. We want to trade and learn and grow together with other species." Vareth was quiet for a long moment. Then she asked the question that had been burning in her mind since the crisis began. "How did you really do it? How did you go from primitive ships to this level of technology in just 1,000 years?" Harrison nodded. He had expected this question. When you gave us that one small system on the edge of the galaxy, you thought you were putting us in a corner. You thought we would stay there forever. Too weak to matter, too primitive to threaten anyone. That is exactly what we thought. You were wrong. That system had everything we needed: minerals, energy, space to build. And most importantly, it had privacy. Nobody watched us. Nobody cared what we did. We used that freedom. He pulled a small device from his pocket and activated it. A holographic image appeared between them, showing Earth from space. But it was not the Earth that Varath spies had reported. This Earth had massive structures in orbit. This Earth had millions of ships moving around it. This Earth was the center of an industrial empire that made Velthury production look small. We built cities underground so your probes would not see them, Harrison explained. We developed technology that did not produce the energy signatures your sensors looked for. We created an entire civilization beneath the surface of our world while showing you only primitive villages above. For 1,000 years? For 1,000 years. Every generation worked on the plan. Every child was taught the goal. Every resource was dedicated to one purpose: becoming strong enough that no one could ever hurt us again. Vareth stared at the hologram. She was seeing the true face of humanity for the first time. It was not the face of primitives. It was the face of a species that had suffered and learned and grown and emerged from the darkness as something new. What happens now? She asked. That depends on you. The Security Council can accept our terms, and we can move forward as partners. Or they can refuse, and we will be forced to take what we want by force. Harrison's expression became serious. I do not want that. No one on Earth wants that. But we will not go back to being ignored and mistreated. Those days are over forever. Vareth thought about everything she had seen and heard. She thought about the power the humans had displayed. She thought about the weakness of the Confederation's position. She thought about what would happen if war broke out. Then she made her decision. I will recommend that the Council accept your terms, she said. Full recognition, full representation, full equality. Harrison looked surprised. Just like that? Not just like that. There will be arguments. There will be resistance. Some of my colleagues will fight against this until the very end. Vareth stood up. But I am tired of making mistakes. I am tired of underestimating your species. I would rather have you as partners than as enemies. She extended her hand in the human fashion. She had learned this gesture from her studies. Harrison took her hand and shook it. Then perhaps there is hope for both of us, he said. Vareth nodded. Perhaps there is. She left the room to begin the long process of convincing the other species. It would not be easy. Thousands of years of prejudice would not disappear overnight. But for the first time since the crisis began, she felt like the future might hold something other than war. Behind her, Harrison Cole remained by the window, looking out at the alien city. He was thinking about his ancestor, Kevin Cole, who had died believing in peace. He was thinking about all the generations of humans who had worked in secret, building toward this moment. They had done it. Against all odds, against all expectations, humanity had earned its place among the stars. Now they just had to keep it. The galaxy mocked Earth for 1,000 years. Now they remember what woke us up. Part 5. The new dawn. 1 year had passed since the human awakening, and the Sol system looked completely different. Ships from across the Confederation filled the space around Earth. They came to trade. They came to study. They came simply to see the species that had changed everything. Every day, thousands of visitors arrived from distant worlds. Every day, they left with stories that seemed impossible to believe. Earth was no longer hiding. The underground cities had been opened to the public. The secret laboratories were now centers of shared research. The technology that had been developed in darkness was being shared with anyone who wanted to learn. Unity Station floated at the edge of the system, the first structure built by humans and aliens working together. It was enormous, a spinning ring of metal and light that could hold 1 million beings. It was a symbol of what the future could look like. Admiral Lisa Grant stood on the main observation deck, looking out at the stars. She had been promoted twice since Karath Station. She had become one of the most famous humans in the galaxy. But she did not feel like a hero. She felt like someone who had done a job that needed to be done. Footsteps approached behind her. She turned to see High Counselor Vareth walking toward her. The Velthari leader looked different than she had a year ago. The arrogance was gone from her face. In its place was something that looked almost like respect. "Admiral Grant," Vareth said. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with me, High Counselor." Lisa nodded. "I was surprised when you requested a private conversation. I have spent the past year studying your species," Vareth said. She stood beside Lisa and looked out at the stars. "I wanted to understand how this happened. How a species that we dismissed as worthless became the most powerful civilization in the galaxy. And what did you learn?" Vareth was quiet for a moment. "I learned that your species has always been like this. Every time you were pushed down, you stood up again. Every obstacle made you stronger. Every enemy eventually became your friend or was left behind." Lisa smiled slightly. "We are stubborn." "That is true. It is more than stubbornness." Vareth turned to face her. "We thought your violence was primitive. We thought your anger was weakness. We did not understand that these things were merely sleeping. We did not understand what would happen if they woke up." "We are not violent by nature," Lisa said. "We simply do not accept defeat." "There is a difference, is there?" Lisa considered the question seriously. "Yes, violence is about destroying things. What we do is about surviving and growing. We would rather build than break. We would rather make friends than enemies. But when we have no other choice, we do what we must." Vareth nodded slowly. She reached into her robes and pulled out a small data device. "The Council has finalized the treaty. Everything your people asked for has been granted. Full recognition. Full representation. Reparations for past wrongs. Everything." Lisa took the device. She did not look at it. "Some of your colleagues must have fought against this." They did. Many of them argued until the very end. They said humanity was dangerous. They said giving you power would destroy the Confederation. They said we were making the biggest mistake in galactic history. What convinced them to agree? Simple logic. Vareth made a sound that might have been a laugh. "We cannot defeat you in war. We cannot contain you through politics. Our only choice is to accept you as equals and hope that your desire for peace is real." She paused. "Is it real, Admiral? Does humanity truly want peace?" Lisa looked out at the stars again. Ships of every design moved through the darkness. Human vessels and alien vessels, side by side, working together. A year ago, this would have been impossible. Now it was ordinary. "When I was a child," she said, "my grandmother told me stories about first contact, about the hopes we had, about the dreams of friendship with beings from other worlds. She was alive when the Karath massacre happened. She died believing that humanity would never be accepted." Lisa's voice became softer. "I became a soldier because of her. I wanted to prove her wrong. I wanted to show her, and everyone like her, that Earth could rise above what was done to us. That we could demand respect without becoming monsters ourselves. And now? Now I hope we can keep that promise." Lisa turned to face Vareth directly. "The power we have is enormous. The temptation to use it for revenge is very real. But if we give in to that temptation, we become exactly what the galaxy always said we were. Primitives who answer everything with violence." She extended her hand to Vareth. It was a human gesture of friendship and agreement. We will be peaceful partners if you let us. We will be terrible enemies if you force us. The choice, for the first time in 1,000 years, is not ours alone. Vareth looked at the offered hand. She remembered a time when she would have considered touching a human to be beneath her dignity. She remembered dismissing an entire species as worthless. She remembered all the mistakes that had led to this moment. Then she reached out and took Lisa's hand. "Then let us choose wisely," Vareth said. "Both of us." Behind them, a new ship emerged from faster-than-light travel. It was the first vessel built by humans and Velthari working together. Its crew included members of both species. Its mission was to explore regions of space that neither species had ever visited. It was a beginning. A small step toward something new. Lisa and Vareth stood together, watching the ship move toward the unknown. Neither spoke. There was nothing that needed to be said. The past was behind them. The future was waiting. Earth had been mocked for 1,000 years. The galaxy had laughed at humans. They had ignored them. They had killed them. They had called them insects and primitives and worthless. But humans did not stay down. They never stayed down. They got back up. They learned. They grew. They became something that no one expected. And now, finally, they were home among the stars. The story of human weakness was over. The story of human strength was just beginning. Somewhere, in a quiet corner of the universe, the spirit of Ambassador Kevin Cole was smiling. His dream of friendship between species was finally coming true. It had taken 1,000 years longer than he hoped. It had required power that he never imagined. But it was happening. Humanity had woken up. And the galaxy would never forget what they had become. The end.